7:49. Let's come to this HS2 story then. Trains could be run fewer in number and at slower speeds. Why? Well, to keep the rail project within budget, the company's chief executive has said. It's faced criticism for misleading MPs. It's reported that price estimates have been hundreds of millions of pounds too low. Fears that costs are spiralling out of control. They still maintain it will come in at £56 billion. Remember, I promised to pay all your mortgages if that's true. I will repeat that. I will pay each and every single one of all your mortgages off if it comes in at 50... It's never going to happen, matey. £56 billion. It's just not going to happen. Now, the Leader of the Commons, Andrea Leadsom, questioned the viability of the project at a meeting of the all-party parliamentary rail group in November, which is what brought about the idea from Chief Executive Mark Thurston about potential cost-cutting measures. To Jonathan Tyler, who's an independent transport consultant who joins me now, if there are fewer trains going at slower speeds, pardon my language, what's the bloody point of it? Good morning.
Good morning. The first thing to say is that the changes that are being suggested, I think, are very unlikely to keep the project within budget. The estimates that have been made recently by experienced engineers suggest a huge increase in costs. This is tinkering at the margins.
Is it still viable, Mr. Tyler, this project?
Sorry?
Is the project as a whole still viable?
I doubt it, and I'll tell you why.
Please.
The first point is that if you don't go as fast as originally planned, which was a very ambitious speed, then you don't get as many passengers using the service. Secondly, and probably more importantly, if you only run 14 trains now, which again is more realistic than 18, then you are not going to be able to serve a number of cities in the north which were promised HS2 services, and that again means fewer passengers. So these ideas, they've got some substance in an abstract sort of way, but they would have a fundamental effect on the business case, and that is going to be weakened. It's already not strong by proper government standards, and it needs... when it's reviewed, then it needs to be done by a really independent authority. We do not want 10 consultants fiddling around with the business case to demonstrate that despite these changes, all is well.
Lastly, Mr. Tyler, how significant is it that the Leader of the Commons, Andrea Leadsom, is questioning the viability of the whole idea at this group at the rail group meeting in November?
I think it's not surprising, given the evidence that has been emerging about the costs and obviously long-standing criticism on all sorts of grounds, including the environmental problems. I suspect from things I've been hearing that there are a great many members of Parliament and local authorities who are beginning to wonder whether it's a sensible project, a sensible way to spend that sort of money. And I think she's perhaps just being a bit more open and honest than others. It needs a fundamental review. At the very least, it needs a pause while we reconsider whether there are other projects that might bring benefits. It is, after all, pretty daft that we talk about the regeneration that this will bring to various places in the north, but not until the mid-2030s. There are surely better, more and much quicker ways of helping those stricken economies.
Grateful for your time. Jonathan Tyler, independent transport consultant. You talked, Mr. Tyler, about the mid-30s. Remember, Phase 1 of the £56 billion, it'll never happen, high-speed rail link opens between London and Birmingham in December 2026. That's the first phase. Quite incredible how we ever got into this.